Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back again today with another fantasy football video. Today, we are doing a 10-team half PPR draft from the fourth slot, as requested by one of my subscribers, Conlon. So thank you for requesting that, and if I pronounced your name wrong, I'm very sorry. I'm not very good at that. Before we get into this 10-team half PPR draft from the fourth slot, I'd like to ask you guys to please go down below and click that subscribe button, because it's not only going to help me, it's also going to help you, because it's going to help you dominate your draft, dominate the regular season, dominate the postseason, and kiss that beautiful fantasy football trophy. And if you don't already have a trophy, go down below in the description. There's a website called Fantasy Bros. It's in the description. If you use code Notorious and you want a fantasy trophy, a draft board, a loser sash, whatever you want, 5% off with code Notorious. So let's get right into the draft at the fourth slot. Bada bing, bada boom. First pick of the draft, Christian McCaffrey, followed by D Hop, Saquon Barkley. Now, this pick is very easy to me because I want Alvin Kamara at this slot. Very easy. He's going to be a top 3 running back in my opinion. He's not always going to be that guy who's getting 15, 20 touches a game, obviously, because he's more of a pass catching back. But you can obviously, that doesn't really matter because it's a half PPR league, and he's still going to probably score over 10, 12, 13 touchdowns, some crazy shit like that, and be great for you in fantasy. So this is like, you don't really have, I don't even have to really describe this pick because it's so obvious that that's who you'd pick here. And if you want to learn more about like Alvin Kamara, Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, Zeke, you can go watch my video from yesterday about who to draft with the first overall draft pick. So after we went Alvin Kamara, Zeke came off the board, followed by James Conner, David Johnson, Michael Thomas, Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, Odell Beckham Jr., Dalvin Cook, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Nick Chubb. Typically here at the end of the draft, around the 8th or 10th pick, you see people go with a double wide receiver strategy. Michael Thomas and Odell came off at the 8th spot. This guy picked Michael Thomas and then Odell, and at the 10th spot, Devontae Adams, and then Julio Jones. So now we are likely going to be getting a good running back here yet again. So if we look, the wide receivers are still pretty solid. A guy like Mike Evans could be pretty great here, but I'm much more likely to just draft one more running back here and then get someone great here in the third round and fourth round at the wide receiver position. So Todd Gurley would be a pick if he was not injured. Now that arthritis knee, very much a concern for me, and that's why I just don't draft him strictly based off that I'm scared of that knee flaring up, him being in the game, then being out of the game, sitting out multiple drives, coming back in. It's so confusing. You just don't want to have that on your fantasy team. So we're gonna go with Joe Mixon here, in my opinion, a really safe pick, a guy that in some leagues I'd be willing to take in the first round if it's a 12-team league or if I'm in the back here and I really want a good running back. I'm willing to take him and combine him with a guy like Chubb. But here we're getting Alvin Kamara and Joe Mixon, two great running backs pretty early in the draft here. And it just seems very advantageous to get a guy I know will finish top 12 in fantasy at the running back position. After went Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley came off the board, followed by Travis Kelce, Damian Williams, Mike Evans, Kerryon Johnson, Melvin Gordon. So Kerryon Johnson is a guy that I have picked super early before because I really do like Kerryon Johnson. Now, would I pick him over a guy like Joe Mixon? Probably not, because I really view Joe Mixon as a guy that's going to be a top 10, top 8 running back, a guy that's super safe, doesn't really have that much of an injury history, and I like him a lot. Kerryon does have that injury history, but at the same time, he also has breakout potential to be a top 12, top 10 back if all the things go his way. So right here, we could go with the triple running back strategy, but I'd like to get a wide out here. And this right here is probably the hardest decision you will have to make in your draft. Will you go with AB, a guy who's a diva, but is now going to play? You know for sure he's going to play. He will suit up for week 1 against the Broncos. So do you want to deal with a guy that's a diva on your team, or would you rather go slightly lower and get a guy who, in my opinion, would be worse in fantasy, but you don't have that constant headache of a guy who you don't know how he's gonna. If like Derek Carr throws him one bad pass, he fucking throws his helmet at Derek Carr, murders him on the sideline, and gets fucking arrested or some shit. You don't want that on your team. So this is the risk you're taking. Do you want the diva in AB, or do you want someone who's a lot safer but has some injury history in Keenan Allen? Now, in the last video that I made, I took AB, or maybe it might not have been the last one you've watched, but one of my last videos, I took AB at this around this area, and I didn't really regret it, but I don't know if I would do it in the real draft because I'm just scared of AB just quitting or something. Like he's crazy. He's I don't know. Like, if you're willing to take the risk, AB is perfectly fine here. But I think I'm just gonna not take the risk and go with Keenan Allen, a guy who's slightly worse, but will probably end up being just as good as if Melvin Gordon decides to just hold out for 8, 10 games. They're gonna rely heavier on the passing game, and Keenan Allen's gonna absolutely eat those games. So we're gonna go with Keenan Allen here at the 3-4. After we went Keenan Allen, Leonard Fournette came off the board, followed by Pat Mahomes, AB, T.Y. Hilton, Aaron Jones, Adam Thielen, Marlon Mack, George Kittle, me Timbers, Devontae Freeman, David Montgomery, Stephon Diggs, and Josh Jacobs. So it just so happens that I got a sleeper alert, and I was talking about how much I didn't talk about him. That's Nick Chubb. He went right before we picked Joe Mixon. If you guys don't have the sleeper app, download it on your phone. I'm not sponsored by him, but you're straight up going to be getting the alerts so fast. It says Browns running back Nick Chubb, who's been relentless in these Colts practices because they're practicing with the Colts, ripped off a 65-yard touchdown run on the first play with the team. So obviously Nick Chubb's a guy I like a lot. I drafted him. I drafted Carryon in the first round, and then I drafted Chubb in the second round of my 14-team league, my league of record, the league I've been playing in for years with all my friends, because I really believe in him, just like I believe in Carryon. So he obviously would have been an insta pick right here if he fell to me. So now we have another question mark here at this draft spot. Would we rather say fuck it and go with a another running back, or say fuck it and draft Amari Cooper, because Amari Cooper's dealing with this, what's the injury called? It's called a plantar fascia issue. I'm sorry, I'm not a doctor. And it seems like this may be a lingering issue. I've been reading shit. I'm not a doctor, obviously. I'm just some guy that talks about fantasy on the internet. But what I'm talking about here is that this issue seems like it could be lingering into the season. I'm kind of scared of that, so I'm just avoiding Amari Cooper here. And I think I would just honestly pull the trigger on another running back and then come back and draft just another wide receiver in the 5th round. Let me talk about something also before I make my pick and decide which running back I would go with here. Pat Mahomes was the first quarterback off the board at the 3-6. Pretty typical, but you may also see him go around the first or second round in some of your at-home leagues because people are crazy for that quarterback. You may see him go first pick, depending on how smart your friends slash family slash your office people slash whoever the fuck you're playing with are. Pat Mahomes in some leagues will fall to the 5th round or 6th round. That's where I really like his value. And then Travis Kelce was the first tight end off the board at the 2-9, and then Kittle went at the 4-2. So typically, if you wanted Ertz, you'd probably have to pull the trigger around here to get Ertz in a 10-team league. Do I like Ertz all that much? No, so I'm just going to avoid him, but this is about where you'd have to pick him. So for the running back we'd be looking at here, Derrick Henry still on the board. But I'm just avoiding Derrick Henry. He scares me. The first half, or the majority of last season, was the tale of failure. The tale of a running back you drafted early, and you wanted to fucking blow your brains out because you drafted this guy. But in the last 4 or 5 games, he carried you to a championship. And a lot of people are still like, oh, he's going to do that this year. No, how could you believe that he's going to do that this year when he hasn't really been able to do it consistently in the past? So we just avoid him, and we go with a safer running back in Chris Carson, a guy who's likely going to see two-thirds of the touches, not what I believed was going to be 50-50. Still could be 50-50 because what they're saying now isn't necessarily set in stone. They're saying he could be getting, I'm saying the beat reporters, the coach, Pete Carroll, all that, are talking about him getting 50 catches this year. Now, that's obviously going to make his value even better in PPR, so I love Chris Carson here, especially after David Montgomery went, the guy I also like to target. So after we went Chris Carson, Robert Woods came off the board, followed by Brandon Cooks, Zach Ertz, Amari Cooper, Derrick Henry, Julian Edelman, and now we can easily just get a wide receiver that we like here, and one of my favorite wideouts fell to us here in the 5th round, and that is Chris Godwin on one of the teams that has a terrible defense, a great offense. They have a new coach in Bruce Arians. They're going to be throwing the ball while down heavily. Famous Jameis is going to heave the ball Chris Godwin and Mike Evans' way, as well as O.J. Howard's way. They play in a division with a lot of shootouts, where they're playing games where the defense doesn't fucking matter. They're just going to keep scoring every single drive, and it's going to be some crazy shit, and Chris Godwin's going to be scoring a lot of points, and since they're going to be down a lot, like I said, they're going to have to throw the ball to try to come back. There's going to be some garbage time Chris Godwin touchdowns, and we like that in the 5th round. And if you follow me on Twitter, at Notorious Fantasy, you will have seen the GOAT catch that man made, one-handed in the end zone. He looks like a great wide receiver, and now with Adam Humphries gone, I'm very sure Chris Godwin will be a reliable pick here in the 5th round. So after we went with Chris Godwin, Philip Lindsay came at the board, followed by Kenny Galladay, Tyler Lockett, A.J. Green, Mark Ingram, Sony Michel, Tyler Boyd, Aaron Rodgers, Calvin Ridley, Cooper Kupp, James White, Jarvis Landry. So two quarterbacks already off the board. Aaron Rodgers may typically go near around Pat Mahomes, maybe in the fourth or fifth round, because people get that quarterback fever. We currently have three running backs and two wide receivers. No quarterback, no tight end, none of that, because we ain't about that life. So right here, I'd likely just go running back yet again because the wide receiver value is good late. And if you're one of these guys who wants to go with a middle round tight end, this is where you would probably go for it here. You got a guy like Howard, Ingram, Henry, any of those guys that you like typically around here in the fifth, sixth round. Maybe they will already have gone in your draft. I'm not much of an early tight end kind of guy. I typically wait till later unless I see immense value here in the seventh round where I get like Evan Ingram or Hunter Henry. So with that being said, we'll just go with a running back here, and I'm not on that Tevin Coleman train, even though I do believe that Tevin Coleman, now with Jerick McKinnon being on the pup, could see a lot of work early and really emerge as playing in that role that he played in Atlanta and being good at it. Catching a lot of balls, being like the guy, because I think Burrito's going to be the running back one, so he'll be getting touches still, Tevin Coleman, and I think he'll be pretty solid. But I would much rather go with a guy who I don't think Tevin Coleman really has RB1, RB2 upside. He'll just be like an RB3 that you can start every week in your flex. Miles Sanders has RB1 or 2 upside, in my opinion. He could be great a lot of weeks because I think that the Eagles are not going to necessarily start him early, right? He's going to be riding the pine a couple of weeks, and then he's going to truly emerge, show his colors, and be great. Now, originally, before I started looking into him more, I was kind of avoiding the Philadelphia backfield because it's a clouded backfield, but they're going to have to cut a lot of guys, and Miles Sanders really going to emerge as the running back one there, and I truly believe in that. So after we took Miles Sanders, Deshaun Watson came off the board, followed by Kenyon Drake, Tevin Coleman, Andrew Luck, Baker Mayfield, Evan Ingram, and now it is our pick yet again. So, like I said, Andrew Luck, I don't know if I talked about this actually. Andrew Luck has this calf strain injury that is now that became an ankle injury. So just avoid Andrew Luck at all costs. Don't take Andrew Luck. Just avoid it. It's pretty easy to just avoid him because on this channel we typically don't go quarterback very early, so it's really easy to just avoid going him. Now, right here, I am willing to pull the trigger on a tight end. Would I rather have right here, since we didn't get Evan Ingram, we're going to either have two Tampa Bay Buccaneers or two Chargers, which it really doesn't bother me because I think both of these offenses are really going to flourish this year and be pretty good. But I don't know who I necessarily like more because OJ Howard and Hunter Henry have dealt with injuries in the past. OJ Howard much more so. If Hunter Henry can somehow survive for all 16 games, I am 100% sure that he will be a top 5 tight end. He's a big body on the team. Philip Rivers loves his tight end, but OJ Howard last year was having so many great games before he got hurt that I feel like the upside is so high here on OJ Howard in the 7th round that I just have to pull the trigger here. If you guys would have took Hunter Henry, leave that down in the comments. I read all the comments just so you guys know, and I always reply. So after we picked O.J. Howard, Mike Williams came off the board, followed by Alshon Jeffrey, DJ Moore, Lamar Miller, A-Rob, Hunter Henry, Matty Ice, Tariq Cohen, Austin Eckler, Darius Geis, Robbie Anderson, Rashad Penny, and now it is our pick. So since Matt Ryan went, we'll just wait a bit longer on quarterback. I like Breeze, but he's a little too safe for my liking, to be honest. I'm more of a high upside type of guy, especially in a 10-team league where you don't have to draft two quarterbacks. And if you're running quarterback you draft later sucks ass, you could just straight up drop them like it's hot. You know what I'm saying? You can just get rid of them. So it's now our pick, like I have stated, and we are going to load up on. We'll get one more. We'll get a wide out here because we already have one, two, a three, a four running backs, and I think that the running back value. Fuck. There's some running backs I really like here. So you can't just really make your decision without looking at all the positions. So I think we're just going to go running back here and go with a guy that I think is pretty safe. And that is, oh, actually, fuck, because I don't really want to handcuff Alvin Kamara with Latavius Murray because I like drafting Latavius Murray when I don't have Alvin Kamara because he has so much upside in playing him. And I don't know if I necessarily start Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray at the exact same time. But I feel like just handcuffing him here could definitely have some solid upside because then I don't have to really worry about it. If Alvin Kamara goes down, I know I can start Latavius and he'll be a top 10 guy. And if I'm feeling fucking risky, if the Saints are playing a game I know they're going to be high scoring in, I may just say, fuck it, and throw both of them in the lineup. Now, you have to be one crazy type of motherfucker in a 10-team league to throw in two running backs on the same team, but I just may be that crazy guy. So we're going to go with Latavius here. Not necessarily advocating for doing this because Darrell Henderson is a fine pick there too, but, you know, we're feeling a bit risky. kiss and titties Trubisky type deal. So after we went Latavius Murray, Dante Pettis came off the board, followed by Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk, Mr. Injury Prone, Will Fuller, Jordan Howard, and Darrell Henderson. So now we can just happily get another wideout. Let's see. We have wideouts on by 12 and by 7. So that's not really going to impact our decision too much because I know a guy in the 10th round we can get is still going to be great. So we're stuck with the decision between Sammy Watkins and Geronimo Allison right here. And D.D. Westbrook and Curtis Samuel. It's quite confusing over here because I like so many of these wide receivers. We go with Sammy Watkins, who I feel like is going to have so many dominant games this season that's gonna be crazy. A lot of people are really sleeping on him because they were so high on him when Tyreek was looking like he was gonna be out after that boxing match with his son. Hit him with the 1-2 Floyd Mayweather. I'm just kidding. That's obviously a joke. We don't joke about those things over here on this channel. No child abuse over here. And who knows if that even happened? I don't know. I wasn't there, but what I do know is when all that talk was happening, that Sammy Watkins was looking like a great pick, but now everyone's like, oh, he's not going to be that great. Oh, blah, 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 blah. He's going to still be great because in the final 2 games of the season, when they were playing in the postseason, he was practicing Thursday. He's fine. He had illness, whatever. He's fine. He's going to be fine, I think. I wish we could scroll down here. He exploded against the Patriots, getting 114 yards. He's high upside in my opinion, just like that article said. He's not a guy that I'm starting every week. Obviously, he could be a flex option or a guy I could start in certain situations. And I just think his upside is so high on a team that's going to be scoring so many points. Now, I don't know if Mahomes is going to throw 50 touchdowns 2 years in a row. That'd be some crazy shit. I really don't think he will. But if he does, Sammy Watkins will be scoring touchdowns and he'll be getting a lot of yards on this team because he's the wide receiver too on the team. Now, that's technically false because what's his name? Kelsey's going to be getting a lot of targets. He's pretty much a wide receiver out there. And then Tyreek Hill, but Sammy Watkins is going to be open, and Pat Mahomes has great vision to see all these guys, and I think Sammy Watkins will have a lot of productive games, so I like him here in the 9th round. After one was Sammy Watkins, Jared Cook came off the board, followed by Eric Ebron, Big Vance McDonald, Kyler Murray, Rolls Royce Freeman, Chicago Bears defense, LaShawn McCoy, Curtis Samuel, Kareem, the kicker, Hunt, Drew Brees, Rojo, Carson Wentz, and now a guy that I like fell right into our pocket right here in Geronimo Allison. Now, I don't know who I like more, Geronimo or MVS. I'm thinking I do like MVS more because he's the outside the numbers guy, a guy that Aaron Rodgers loves throwing the ball outside the numbers. He's one of the more accurate outside the numbers passes, and Geronimo is going to be the flex guy. Now, the thing is, I think every single week, both of these guys are going to be perfectly fine to start. Obviously, some weeks, one is going to be better than the other, but I still think they're both pretty safe here. So it's picker's choice. I've drafted Allison in a lot of my real leagues, like where I have a lot of money in it. Allison I've picked twice, and I've never gotten MVS because MVS typically goes ahead of him. Honorable mention, I like D.D. Westbrook a lot to be the wide receiver 1 on the Jags. I think, well, not necessarily the wide receiver 1, but getting the most targets on the team in the slot. Nick Foles loves targeting him, and I think I would just go with him and hope MVS falls to us in the next round or Geronimo Allison. So we're going to go D.D. Westbrook here. Pretty easy pick for me. After we went with D.D. Westbrook, Larry Fitz went, followed by Geronimo Allison, MVS, Cam Newton, David Njoku, Sterling Shepard. So we did end up getting Njoku, or not Njoku, MVS or Allison, but that's perfectly fine with me because there's still other wide receivers that I like later. So if we look at the board, where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 if I counted correctly. Quarterbacks have been taken, and I don't even have one. So around right here is where I'm definitely going to be looking towards the quarterback position. And I like Wilson, but I don't really love him because the team is just so run heavy that I feel like just drafting him here is just kind of a waste. But like he goes a lot earlier. In a lot of your leagues, you may be seeing this guy going like the 6th or 7th or 8th round, and I just don't see the value there in Russell Wilson. So I'd rather just go with a guy like Goff if you want safety, or if you're feeling a bit dangerous, you just go Jameis because we already got Godwin, and you could just lock in that combo, the stack of the Jameis Winston to Godwin to OJ Howard. Now, actually, that is a bit too kind of risky. Actually, really risky because you're really relying on the Tampa Bay offense if you're doing something crazy like this. So I think I'll just go with the safety valve in Jared Goff. Feel a little less dangerous here. Get a guy that I think is going to really elevate his game this year with his 3rd year in the McVay offense. I think that he played great in the regular season. The The Super Bowl, obviously not so much, but you're playing in the regular season, and your playoffs are also in the regular season, so you don't have to worry about who Jared Goff plays in the Super Bowl if they end up getting there. If the Saints don't end up getting riled again, then the Rams will. It doesn't fucking matter because Jared Goff will be great during the regular season. I truly believe it, and he's a safe option. He's a guy that I know every single week I have him starting. I know he's gonna put up solid production. After we went Jared Goff, Russell Wilson came off the board, followed by the L.A. Rams, N'Keal Harry, Jalen Samuels, Carlos Hyde, Famous Jameis, Cortland Sutton, Deshaun Jackson, Kalen Balaj, Philip Rivers, Corey Davis, DK Metcalf. So we currently have we have four wideouts, five running backs, quarterback, and a tight end. So we're going to load up on some more running back value. And now, right here, this decision is pretty easy. In my opinion, I just go Justin Jackson here because I know for a fact, in my opinion, I think it's a fact that Melvin Gordon holds out around 8 games, I think. Maybe 4 games, maybe 8 games. I think it's going to be around 8 games. And I think that Justin Jackson will be a guy you can play for 8 straight weeks, probably. If he gets traded, you can play him every single game. And you're drafting him in the 10th, 11th, 12th round, typically. And if you're playing a league where people don't really do a lot of research, they don't watch my videos, they don't get a lot of that fantasy research, and they don't know that Justin Jackson's going to be great here, even if he's the running back 2 on the team, because he's going to be seeing so many touches. Eckler will be catching the passes. Jackson will be hammering the ball. You saw it at the end of last year if you were playing fantasy last year and you picked him up. He was great for you. So I trust Justin Jackson here. I don't know why the fuck it didn't just let me draft him. After we went Justin Jackson, APK off the board, followed by Damian Harris, Peyton Barber, James Washington, Dante Moncrief, Emmanuel Sanders. So we can get a guy here. Now, I think his ADP has actually fallen a decent amount, Duke Johnson, because of his injury. Now, he did end up hurting his leg. I believe it was his leg. He won't play he will miss. Where is it? Won't play this week. Where's the injury? Doesn't mean blah, blah, blah. Where's the injury? Hamstring. Okay, he hurt his hamstring, but that's fine because he's on your bench and you'll just play him a couple of weeks in the season. He's a pass catching back, should be used by Deshaun Watson a lot. He can still run the ball. Lamar Miller's an old ass man, and Duke Johnson will be great. After we went Duke, Kiki came off the board, followed by Devin Singletary, Jags defense, Ben Roethlisberger, T.J. Hawkinson, Matt Breida, Greg Zerline, Ravens D, Devin Funches, Justin Tucker, Harrison Bucker, Stephen Gotowski, and now we get our defense. So the way you're going to draft the defense is you're actually just going to go on Google, okay? Pull up another tab, type in NFL schedule week 1, and then you're going to look at the defenses playing shitty offenses week 1. So very easy. The Cowboys are playing the Giants, and the Browns are playing the Titans. Two great ones right there. You already got those in your head. And then there's other ones like the Eagles are playing an easy team week 1. I think it's the Redskins. Yeah, the Redskins. So you could easily figure that out and just draft one of those defenses. So we're just going to go with the Cowboys because they have a better week 2 matchup against some other team that's pretty bad. So after we went with the Cowboys, the Chargers came off the board, followed by the Vikings, Texans, Will Lutz, Kyle Fairbairn, and Robbie Gould. So now we just go with the kicker, best kicker available, Jake Elliott. After we went Jake Elliott, the Browns came off the board, followed by Alexander Madison, the handcuff to Dalvin Cook, Golden Tate, Mr. 4-game suspension, Austin Hoopa, Adam Vinatieri, and Anthony Injury Miller. But Anthony Miller is actually a good pick back there because he will probably come back week 1 or 2 and be pretty solid on that team in the 15th round. So our finishing starting lineup is Jared Goff at the quarterback. Our 2 running backs are AK and Joe Mixon. Our wide receivers are Alvin Kamara, Chris Godwin. Our tight end is OJ Howard. Our flex is Chris Carson. Our kicker is Jake Elliott. Our defense is the Dallas Cowboys. Our bench is comprised of Miles Sanders, Latavius Murray, Sammy Watkins, D.D. Westbrook, Justin Jackson, and Duke Johnson. So thank you guys all for watching the video. If you did end up enjoying, please go down below and click that subscribe button because like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to help you dominate the draft by making all these correct decisions during the draft that I show you. Then you're going to dominate the regular season by making correct trades, waiver wire decisions, matchups, all of that jazz. And then during the playoffs, it's going to be the same thing. And you're going to win that fantasy football trophy. If you want a fantasy football trophy, go down below in the description. Click on that link. Use code Notorious for 5% off. I love all you motherfuckers. Have a dandy rest of your day. Goodbye, friends.